Jeff, here's what I'm thinking. Are we good? Good evening. Thank you all for joining us tonight. This is the January 8th, 2019 meeting of the Hendersonville Board of Mayor and Aldermen. Appreciate you all for standing. We're going to begin our meeting as we typically do. That's with a prayer and a pledge. Jeff? Okay. So please join me with a prayer and please remain standing with the Pledge of Allegiance. So let us pray. Dear Lord, thank you for bringing us together and thank you for this opportunity to serve you and thank you for the opportunity to serve you every day. And especially thank you for the folks that protect us, the ones that protect us here and the ones that protect us far away. Somehow, help us to use the wisdom and the abilities and the talents and the skills you've given us to do your work. Help us to reflect what you have given us here and as we go away from here. Thank you for the wonderful attendance that we have here tonight and for the wonderful people that we get to serve, and help us to serve those in your name. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all.
Move to approve the agenda.
We've got a motion to accept our agenda and a second. Alderman Petrelli?
I might have an addition for the ADA committee. Do we have that, Mr. Broadley?
No, I did not get that list from you. Did Mr. Boss get in touch with you today?
He did. Okay, so we'll just plan to put that on the next meeting.
It'll be on the next agenda.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Do you still want to give a committee report? Is that, or not? Okay. That's it. Okay. I'll put you after Planning Commission. Okay.
Mr. Mayor, may I make an announcement?
Hold on one second. So we've got a motion. We need a second to add that one.
Second.
Okay. And let's add to that item. Did you want to add an announcement to the agenda?
You're on mayor's comments.
I don't have mayor's comments tonight. You want to have Ward 5 comments?
Sure.
We'll do that. Okay. Okay, so we have a motion, a second to add that to that motion. Alderman Robertson.
Yes, in the matter of efficiency, I would recommend that we move item G and M into a consent agenda item so that a single motion could approve. These are routine, non-controversial actions that should not take any time. So I move that we move them into consent agenda, those two items.
So G and M?
G and M.
When we get to item G, I will announce, if this passes, that those two are passing together.
Okay.
And we won't have discussion unless somebody asks to separate them.
Thank you.
Okay, so we have a motion there. Do we need a second there?
Got a second.
Okay, so we're going to come back and make sure we combine all these. Alderman Skidmore.
Yes, sir. One, I do want to add a co-sponsor on. I just noticed in the agenda, under item, I guess it's L, I believe, that Skidmore and Robertson, or Robertson, I'm sorry, Alderman, just add that if the mayor would.
That's item L?
L,
Okay.
thank you.
Okay. And I'm going to go back to you, Alderman Skidmore. Since you made the initial motion to accept the agenda, I'm going to ask you to include all of these in just a second.
Okay.
Alderman Strauss, something on this?
I had a question about procedure. That was answered. Thank you.
Okay. And then I would like to, Alderman Skidmore, if I could add to your motion to accept the agenda, I would like to do presentation of a proclamation of Hendersonville Police Department Explorers. I'd like to do that above executive session.
Sounds cool.
Okay, so here's what we have so far. We are looking at the agenda as you see in front of you with these changes. Item A under presentations would be above executive session. Under committee reports, item G now will be an ADA committee report. Item H will be a Ward 5 announcement. Item L will have the additional sponsor of, help me out, Alderman Skidmore.
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Okay.
Skidmore and Robertson.
Okay, Skidmore and Robertson. And then item M will be considered with item G. So Alderman Skidmore, is that your motion?
Yes, sir.
I appreciate that.
I'll move for the amendments.
We have a motion, a second to amend the agenda. All in favor of that amendment, those 5 changes, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say no. Now, all those in favor of accepting the amended agenda, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say no. We have an agenda. With that change, I would like to have the Explorers meet me down right here, please.
Yeah. No,
The best thing, y'all, if you line up right here, that'd be wonderful. And as you do that, I'm going to read this because this is really pretty cool. I want to say congratulations to Hendersonville Police Department's Explore Post 112. They participated in the 7th Annual Law Enforcement Competition, which was hosted by the Gwinnett County Police Department in Lawrenceville, Georgia, on November 3rd, 2018. The police explorers participated in domestic violence, crime scene investigation, cell extraction, use of force, felony traffic stop, and police written examination. Those are all categories in the competition they were part of. And the Hendersonville Police Department's explorers placed 3rd in the use of force category out of 20 participating teams. This is the second year the Hendersonville Police Explorers Post number 112 has participated in this competition and placed 3rd in that category. So what I'd like to do is introduce all of y'all, so if you could come up and grab this from me and shake my hand, I appreciate that. And I very much appreciate what y'all are doing. Chief Miller, Chief Daniels, Commander Harsmer tell me wonderful things about what y'all are doing, and very much appreciate everybody who's involved with y'all. So Dorian Falcon, advising officer. Amanda Hollingsworth, advisor. Here you go. Trevor Brooks, one of our advisors. Ellen A. Corcoran.
Officer Falcon, can I get a picture?
Tyler Grant. Tyler has also been interning with us in our office the past several months. It's been incredible help. It's been great to have you, Tyler. Ariana Dunton. And Isaiah Barnes. Now, who am I forgetting here? I'm sorry. Did we leave that one?
We have to get one.
We will have to get one to you. I apologize very much. Yeah. Again, appreciate what y'all are doing and what y'all are learning and what you're getting to be involved with. We appreciate it very, very much. Do one of y'all want to? Do one of the explorers want to speak? I think it'd be wonderful. Perfect. Okay.
So I just joined this year, well, I guess technically last year, about halfway through the year, where most of the other members have been there for at least a couple years. And I've learned a lot just in the past probably about 6 months that I've been in the program. And it's a great opportunity, and I really hope that we have more people join this year, because even if someone's on the fence about maybe going into this field, or if it's something they want to learn more about, it's a great opportunity. And I think that I'm just really grateful to have the opportunity. And where I lived before, I didn't have any opportunities to learn anything. And I live in Greenbrier, and we don't have an Explorer program. And actually, I don't think anyone in Robertson County does anymore, for at least the police department. So it's just a really great opportunity to be able to kind of join in, and I feel like we all help each other out as far as like making sure everyone can get there, and having, when we have new members and stuff like that. So it's just, a really great opportunity for the kind of youth in the community, and we're all really grateful, I feel like, for having the opportunity. So
Thank y'all so much.
thank you.
Jeff, are we still okay? Okay. Jonathan, do you want to speak something on this presentation?
At any point, just
Okay. Okay. We're in an odd situation right now, is that we have an executive session coming up. What that means is this is the only time that the board and attorneys can get together outside of a public meeting. And so what we're going to do is we're going to retreat to a room over here. I have no idea how long that's going to take. I don't want to tell you that it's going to take 10 minutes and we come back and resume our meeting 5 minutes from now. The camera will be back on when we come back in. We'll make sure we don't start the meeting until the camera's back on. But for those of you who are here, honestly, the safest way to make sure you don't miss anything is to sit right where you are. Again, I don't know if it's going to be 10 minutes or an hour or something in between or something longer than that. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to head over to a meeting room right over here, and when we're finished, we'll be right back. Jonathan, did you want to add something?
Just want to make an announcement that Ward 5, we're having our first town hall meeting. It'll be on February the 7th. I appreciate my younger senior alderman, Darrell Woodcock, helped put this thing together, and also appreciative to the City Hall folks. They're going to be here, and we're hoping for a real good turnout. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
It'll, at 6 PM until 7:30.
Where?
And it'll be right here. February 7th.
So we're
February
going to go over here
7th.
for just a few minutes, and we'll be back.
Thank you all. For you. We'll
Lawyers talking. No, I'm good. I got my own thing.
Thanks, Pat.
Okay.
I didn't really make sense.
Thank you all. That was about an hour break, and still on the item of executive session on the agenda. I believe that Alderman Edwards wants to make a motion to amend our agenda.
Yes, I'll make a motion to amend the agenda to include the items discussed in executive session.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry.
Want me to
Russ.
repeat
Go ahead.
that?
Go ahead. Do that again, please.
Okay, I'll make a motion to amend the agenda to include items discussed in executive session.
Okay, that requires a two-thirds vote, so all those in favor, is there any discussion on that item? We need a second on that.
Second.
We have a motion, a second, to amend the agenda. All those in favor of amending the agenda, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. That passes unanimously. Next, Alderman Edwards, I believe that you were going to make a motion that we were going to authorize our attorney representing us that we accept her recommendations that she explained during the executive session.
So moved.
Motion and a second. Any discussion on that? All those in favor of accepting that recommendation, please, accepting that motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say no. That passes. We have an abstention from Alderman Strauss. Anybody else? So that passes 12-0-1. Next on the agenda, appreciate y'all's help on that. Next on the agenda, we have a presentation from Energy Lighting Service. Jason?
Yes.
Please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about.
All right, Mr. Mayor and City Council, thank you for letting me be here. My name is Jason Duncan, and I am a lifelong Sumner County resident, and I'm the president and CEO of Energy Lighting Services here in Hendersonville. The reason I'm here tonight is that we threw a grand opening, kind of ribbon cutting, when we rebranded our company and opened an office here in Hendersonville a couple of years ago. And the mayor was invited and graciously came to be a part of that. And he learned at that open house what we do. And what we do is help companies and businesses and municipalities reallocate funds away from electric bills to more important things. Because we believe you've got more important things to spend your money on than high electric bills. So when he found that out, it was intriguing to him, and then maybe a year later, he saw in the Nashville Business Journal that our company had won an award because we had done so many electric reductions in companies all across the United States. And so he reached out to us and thought, was there anything that you might be able to do to help the city of Hendersonville? So we met with the mayor a couple of times just talking generally about what we might be able to do, and street lights came up as an opportunity to convert those to LED as a way to save money and to reallocate that money to do more important things like paving roads, for example. So what we proposed back to the mayor, and then since after that subsequently took to the Finance Committee, and they recommended, was that we would do a study of the street lights on the 6.9 miles of Gallatin Road that is in the city of Hendersonville, as a study just to see what converting to LED lighting might look like for the city, physically and financially. So our proposal was to do an audit of that strip of road. There's 6.9 miles approximately on Gallatin Road here in Hendersonville. We would do that study. That study would find out who owns the lights, who operates the lights, who's in charge of maintaining the lights, how much does it cost to run those lights. And frankly, right now, nobody that we've been able to talk to inside the city can answer any of those questions. So it's not data that you have access to, so it's data that somebody is like us who has expertise to go out and find. So we want to go out and help you find that. So the Finance Committee we met with several months ago recommended that we would do that study, and so tonight I'm here just to tell you a little bit about that. The other thing I want to mention is that if you do this study and you did end up going with LED light on all of your 300 plus miles of surface streets here in Hendersonville, you can also deploy an Internet of Things or a smart light system that you can do a lot of other things with. And I know you can't see all of this on the screen, but we can certainly provide this. But there are many things that you can do besides just city lighting. You can do public safety. Those lights can be put on a network where you can see which light's on, which light's off. So for safety, so if lights are out in a neighborhood, you can see which light is not working so that you could get that light repaired without sending out somebody in a truck to figure out which light's not working and respond to people complaining about lights not working on their street. You can do it for city parking. You can brighten lights at certain times of the night. You can dim lights at certain times of the night depending upon traffic. There are so many things that you can do with that smart lighting system, but it starts with going with an LED system. primary reason we want to do it is because you've got more important things to spend the city's money on than high electric bills and maintaining those lights. So if there are any things that you would like to ask me, I'll be happy to entertain those. Otherwise, the mayor asked me to be very brief, and I'm doing that tonight. So anything you'd like to ask, I'm open for questions.
Alderman Strauss.
What would your cost be for doing this study?
The study would be $25,000.
When this came up last year,
Any other questions?
yes, I do. How does this differ than what was proposed last year? Because when we went to NES, they told us that they own the lights, they maintain the lights, they could provide us the cost for each current light, because we know we pay them per power of a bulb there, and they could tell us what the cost would be if we converted to the upgraded light, and they could even tell us how much they would charge us for that conversion. So if we can get all of that information for free, how has this changed from last year when we said we didn't want to pay $25,000 for something we could get for free?
Let me clarify real quick. I don't think we said we didn't want to pay $25,000. I think some members of the board said that, but do you want to go ahead and answer that?
Yeah, there is a lot of speculation as to who owns what lights and who is in charge of maintaining each light, because we did a little bit of pre-work to go and call NES and find out, and even they weren't very clear, because you've got some poles on this strip of street that have two lights on it. Some may be owned and operated by the city of Hendersonville. Some may be owned and leased back to the city of Hendersonville. And how much energy is being used is not determinable unless you go and do an audit.
But if those poles are already there and NES controls the poles and they're leasing private lights, wouldn't they know who they're leasing private lights to? If I hired them to put a light out in front of my house on the pole there, they may not own it, but they know I'm paying $20 a month for it or whatever it is.
Right. And that is true. That is absolutely true. You've got 300 miles of surface streets that have lights on it, and even NES can't track all of them and give the data that you're asking for.
Thank you.
Jason, one of the other things that you had mentioned was that y'all also work with us in financing if we decide to do this.
Yes, sir.
And that's not something we can get from an NES or from
Right.
somebody who actually owns the lights.
Right. So part of what our services as a company is, we can make this as lighting as a service. So it'd be a flat fee. We would provide all of the installation and the maintenance of those lights permanently, and you would cash flow that positively back to the city. So whatever the payment would be, pick a number, say it's $10,000 a month. Your savings, the energy savings difference would be back to the bottom line for the city.
We appreciate it. Alderman Robertson.
What would be the number of years that would pay it off, pay out?
Well, if you do what I just suggested, there is no payout. You just pay a flat fee. It'd be an operational cost on your not even on your balance sheet. It'd be an operational cost.
And what would that operational cost be?
Until we do the study, we don't even have an idea of guessing.
Do you know what we pay a year for street lighting, electricity to run street lights?
I do not until we do the study. That's the purpose of the study. But I will tell you the 8 lights that you have in your parking lot outside cost you about $1,600 a year right now to operate. If you went with LED, it costs less than $500.
Thank you.
Alderman Hayes.
No, that was my question.
Okay. Alderman Skidmore.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a brief question. I appreciate you coming out this evening.
Thank you.
And Happy New Year to you.
As to you.
And I hope you had a good Christmas and New Year's. When are you expected to come back or come to Public Works to discuss this even further? Are you planning that?
Previous to being approved to do the study, is that what you mean?
Well, yeah, because it would have to go through Finance and Public Works before any action could be taken by this board.
Understood. At your service, whatever you would need.
Okay. Then my next question, has there been any discussion by Finance or from the mayor's office in discussing a scheduling, maybe like a scheduling order or what, when this department is going to come to the city? Or is this the first time?
I'm lost. Sorry. Can you go ahead and say that again?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I probably should have spoken a little louder tonight. I was asking either the chairman of finance or yourself, is there any kind of scheduling order that this gentleman has to go to the committee system for the city of Hendersonville to discuss this issue?
We don't have any schedule.
You don't? Okay, I didn't know if you discussed it or anything. All right, thank you. That's it.
Appreciate it. Alderman Cunningham.
Thank you, Mayor. Thanks, Jason, for coming again. I know the subdivision where Russ and I live in Mansker Farms, we're in the process of replacing all, as the light bulbs, go out, they're in the process of replacing those with LED
Right.
lights because of economics and also because they give brighter lights. And we're working with Cumberland Electric to do that, or HOA. How do you work with the HOAs in these cases?
Part of what we would suggest when we get working with an HOA is to go in to work with the HOA to find out what the specifications are, because there's lots of different things to consider. Color of lighting, how much wattage you need, what type of coverage you need. There are different types of lights for street lights. You can't just pop in an LED you bought at Home Depot. It's very specific. So we would work with the HOA to decide what those specifics are, and then we would implement that according to those specs.
Okay, and you work with Cumberland Electric, I would
We are
assume.
partners with all of the major power providers.
In addition to NES, because Cumberland Electric services that
Correct.
area of the city.
That is right.
Okay, thank you.
Jason, I asked you to look at the whole city. What did you tell me?
I'm sorry?
Initially, I asked you to look at the whole city. What did you tell me?
I don't remember what I said, but it's probably something like, that's crazy. There's too much to do all at once. You need to look at just a little bit and then decide if that's going to work for you. But the city of Hendersonville is going to be LED one day. You either need to do it when you get to choose to do it, or you'll do it when you're forced to do it when the government makes laws. Now, we don't know when the government is going to the federal government is going to make laws, but you have LEDs here in part because the lights that you used to have in here are no longer available. Who knows when that's going to happen? So we're proposing an opportunity as a local company to help you do that now when it's favorable in your favor.
Alderman Strauss?
Just to make sure, because we're talking about HOAs, you're talking specifically, though, about Main Street, not HOAs or anything like that. That would be separate
Right.
agreements with those HOAs. Would it be appropriate for me to ask Mr. Boyd a few questions? I just want to make sure that I don't speak out of turn. This has been about a year since we've talked about this, and I don't have my notes from those conversations, and I don't expect Mr. Boyd to, but maybe between the two of us, we can cobble some things together.
We certainly have some time to do that another time. Hold on, Marshall. It's totally up to the board, although we would need to pass, we would need to we would need to suspend the rules to allow Marshall to do that. And I'm fine doing that. It's up to the board because we're not going anywhere with this tonight.
Acting department head? Do we have to do that? Is he acting department head? Do we have to do that for an employee?
He's not.
If we need to have Mr. Boyd to be able to provide information to us at the same time that this is being discussed, I make a motion that we do that.
Are you making a motion to suspend rules at this time?
Yes.
Okay, we have a motion to suspend the rules without objection.
Second.
Marshall, you want to come up? Thanks.
Again, Marshall, if you don't know, you can't remember, and you say you want to refer to your notes, please do. I would do the exact same thing because I would rather have an accurate answer tomorrow than a guess tonight.
Absolutely.
But if I remember correctly, this is the same proposal that went to Finance Committee without the involvement of Public Works, was recommended by Finance Committee, then came to this board, and this board sent it back to Public Works, and the Public Works Committee, I think, all three members voted against it, and we have not heard anything of it since. Is that, so when I say we, I mean, that's what I mean by we.
I can certainly go back and look at the minutes from those meetings and get the answer to that.
Okay.
And if you've got some documents to show that, feel free to share them.
I will be happy to prepare those tomorrow.
Yeah.
The second question, though, is I had conversations with representatives of NES. You had conversations with representatives of NES. I believe we may have even talked to some of the same people.
Mm-hmm.
Did they not tell us they could provide us the grid of every light that we're responsible for on Main Street, and what the cost is, and what it would be the cost to upgrade it?
We have a grid of those lights throughout the city that we maintain, and I don't know the cost switching to LED. I think they would provide that.
They said they could provide it if we asked it, if I remember.
I think that is an option to the city if we wanted to convert to LED. With NES, I don't know the cost.
Because we don't own these, and we don't maintain them, we just pay a monthly fee for the service.
We pay for the power and the maintenance.
Yes.
There's two separate costs, but ultimately it's on the same bill.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marshall. Jason, anything else?
No, sir, not unless there are other questions.
Thank you for your time. Thank you for this information. And thank you for locating Hendersonville and doing a wonderful job and bringing revenue and jobs here.
Well, thank you.
Appreciate that. Thanks so much. Yep. Next, we have public hearings, which we have none. And then we have approval of minutes from December 11, 2018. A motion. We need a second? Second. Motion is second. All those in favor of approving the minutes from December 11, 2018, please signify by saying aye. Those opposed, please say no. That passes unanimously. Next, after that, we have citizens' comments. We have one person signed up, Mr. Strobel of Jefferson Drive.
I apologize. I looked at my agenda wrong and didn't know I was up. I'm Bob Strobel, 104 Jefferson Drive, 33-plus years there. And I was attracted to this meeting by the suggestion that we were going to synchronize the traffic lights. And I think I attended a meeting years ago where we approved $18,000 to do that. Not that many lights, and I think the light I'm looking at tonight is not even one of them that was there that night. We've all stopped at the light at Indian Lake and Gallatin Road. You can't live in Hendersonville without stopping at that light.
Very true.
And you sit through 2 red cycles before you get a green. Regardless, that's if you observe the yellow light when you pulled up to the intersection. But you'll sit through 2 red lights before you get a green. The reason for that is because Indian Lake has 2 red lights on it, 2 red cycles, and Gallatin Road only has 1. And Indian Lake should only have 1. The control system on Gallatin is perfectly rational. Coming from Gallatin, you have a single left turn lane turning into a single lane on Indian Lake. Coming from Nashville, when you're on your way to Walmart or Cracker Barrel, you have 2 Indian Lake roads to turn into, and you have 2 left turn lanes. But coming from Demos towards Gallatin Road, there's 1 left turn lane that we split into 2 at the intersection. Makes no sense. We only need 1 left turn lane there. Coming from the high school to Gallatin Road, you have a single lane that you split into 4. And there are 2 of those are left turn lanes. You only need 1. If you do that, you could eliminate, you could go with a traffic control just like Gallatin Road with simultaneous 2-way traffic and simultaneous left turns. Now, I've worked with enough men over the years to know that there's some here already saying, we can't do that, and that's why. And that's good. You need to get the problems out of the way at first, but at the same time, there's somebody here thinking, how can we do it? There's always somebody in the group that their mind is on the other side of how we do something, not why we can't. If we, or when, we get a pothole in one of those left turn lanes, we're going to close that lane and repair the pothole. I'm a low-hanging fruit sort of guy. So the next 60-degree day with sun shining, I would suggest getting a half a dozen traffic cones and reprogramming the traffic control box for simultaneous traffic on Indian Lake. That will cut the stop time in half for every motorist. I know it could be done, and you would either find out that it works or it doesn't work. If you refer it to a committee, it'll never go out of committee. I know that. So, but as I say, I'm a low-hanging fruit guy. I can get a lawn chair of my own to sit out there if it would help somebody sit at that box. That's my suggestion, and I'm thinking that each one of you, as you stop at that light, will be in your own mind making an evaluation of how long you're sitting there and why you really need to be. So that's my suggestion, and I appreciate your attendance or interest here in what is an unusual night, I think, for your board meetings. Thank you.
Mr. Strobel, thank you.
Am I the only, I really am the only one?
Next, we have our Finance Committee report. Chairman Cunningham.
Hi, no report tonight. Our next meeting is for January 22nd at 6:30, and it looks like we're going to have a full agenda. All are invited.
Thank you, sir.
Mayor.
Thank you. General Committee, Chairman Sprouse.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. The General Committee met tonight. There was only one item on our agenda. It should be coming to y'all at our next meeting, Ordinance 2010-1, dealing with relocating a portion of street right-of-way on Circle Drive. That was recommended unanimously by the board. On tonight's agenda, much of it brought to you by General Committee. The following items were recommended unanimously by the General Committee, items A, B, C, D, I, J, and K. And we will meet again next month. Thank you, Mayor.
Public Safety, Chairman Brown.
Thank you, Mayor. We met this evening, approved our minutes from December 11th, 2018. We had discussion regarding the possibility of citizens registering of their home security cameras so that HPD could build a database to assist in future crimes. That's a continuing discussion with some more information that needs to be gotten. We also discussed on putting stop signs at Raintree and Bonita to help with some speed control and safety issues at Indian Lake Elementary School. What our committee come up with is that we will be looking at putting some, I forgot.
Rumble strips.
Rumble strips. We're looking at putting some rumble strips. We talked about humps, stop signs, some other things, but doing some rumble strips. Be contacting the school board representative out there about possibly getting a flashing light to help calm things somewhat. I also had an update from the police department and the fire department on their hires per budget. The fire department received 19 hires, and they have hired all those folks. In this year's budget, the police department received money to hire 8 officers and 2 detectives, and as of tomorrow, they will be full. So thank you for doing a good job getting us hired. Discussion on moving animal control from planning's purview to HPD's purview. Ms. Petrelli will be working on that and bringing that probably to our next meeting so we can move it on to the board. Thank you.
Chairman Brown, thank you. Chairman Sprouse, thank you. Chairman Skidmore, Public Works.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor. We do not have our minutes from our last meeting yet, but I do want to let the board know one thing, and then I have a question for the mayor. We voted unanimously in our Public Works Committee. We voted unanimously to extend our contract, our garbage contract, for one year. That will allow us, because there's so many changes going on within not only our contract, but with our recycling. There's a lot of changes and possible changes that we need to be prepared for in our city with our garbage pickup. We had extensive discussion on that issue, and one that the committee, which I appreciated the discussion, came up with a great idea and what we would like to do, and we're going to be coming back to this board when we find out just exactly when we're going to do it. We're going to talk to individual aldermen in their specific wards, and we're going to have open meetings within those specific wards, all the wards of the city of Hendersonville, to talk about the garbage with the constituency of Hendersonville. So that would be a total of 6 meetings with that, because we will have to decide this, as a city, we're going to have to decide whether the city is ready to go away from backdoor pickup twice a week to curbside pickup once a week. And then we're going to also discuss, because we really don't know as a country about our recycling program. As the mayor has alluded several months ago, and he has continued to be correct on this issue, and we were well aware of it, that the country of China is not helping with recycling for our country anymore. And believe it or not, in small town USA in Hendersonville, Tennessee, it's going to hit us, and we don't know what's going to happen. because our waste management company says that they still are going to do the recycling program, but we want to make sure that the recyclables are not going into a landfill, because it would be just ridiculous if it did, because we're defeating the purpose of recycling if they do. This board knows that. I know you all know that. So it may be that recycling is not going to come into Hendersonville as quickly as what we thought. But that's why, one of the reasons why we extended the garbage contract for a year. We've recommended it. I don't know, it has not come to the board to pass yet, but I'm sure that it will pass. It's important, because if we don't, the contract ends, I think it's either in June or July, and it would be chaos in the city of Hendersonville if we don't extend that. The garbage folks have said they've agreed to that. The committee has agreed with that. So that's where we are with the contract. One thing I do want to say, the committee decided this as a whole. Not only would we go into the wards, but for the 6 additional meetings, and of course, we invite everybody to come to our committee meetings anyway. But we want to do that for each alderman, the 2 aldermen of each ward, and then we want to finalize it with one meeting here at City Hall for the whole city, if they want to come and speak to us about that, or speak to the alderman, because believe it or not, garbage pickup in the city is very, very important to people. You'd be surprised on how many calls that the Public Works Department and the alderman from their respective committee we get. We get tons of calls on that. Our garbage guys, sometimes they forget to pick your garbage up. Well, if you call us, we'll get it taken care of, or if you call Public Works, they'll let the garbage folks know and they'll pick it up. But that happens. A town is the size of this town. But that's one thing I wanted to let each alderman know. I wanted to let the city of Hendersonville and the constituency know that's what our plan is on garbage. But we do want to talk about the recycling, not tonight, but that is something that we're very, very interested in, because you have to remember that the recycling has picked up really quickly, and people really like it in this town. And we're going to have to talk about where we're going, what the future of the recycling issue is in this town. That's why in closing, please get your guys, each alderman, get your member of the recycling committee for your respective ward, get that to the mayor's office or to Public Works as soon as you can. And we want to get those guys involved in, but I'll be coming back with additional information on the garbage contract. And then my final question to the mayor was, I know in reading the paper, the Standard the other day, you had already gone on record, which that's fine. I'm not one of those that gets been out of shape and all that stuff, about what we're going to do with Public Works. But I've been asked by aldermen on this board where we are with Public Works. We really, as a committee, you have not met with us on that, and I think that the committee would like to know where we are. If you don't know tonight, or if it's too long and drawn out, I would ask you to meet with us privately, or not privately, but within your office, to see where we're going, and see what you want to do. Would that be better?
Absolutely.
Okay.
We'll do that. Hold on. Anything else, Alderman Skidmore? You got a couple questions, I think, coming your way.
Oh, yes, and I'll entertain questions at this time. Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Alderman Bolt.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I don't know if it's the same, which you answered that question or not. I guess my question is, and it might be for the mayor, who's in charge? Who is the acting head once Chip leaves on Friday?
We're getting there. I have a meeting scheduled tomorrow with a couple folks to discuss that, and as soon as we know what direction we're going, I'm not going to say as soon as we make a decision. As soon as we know what direction we're going, I'll let y'all know. Chip is still our Public Works Director. Yeah. Alderman Cunningham.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to, can I ask Alderman Skidmore a question about the
He's probably open to that.
trash?
Yes, ma'am.
Where do we stand with the ad hoc committee for the trash and recycling?
Well, very good question. We want to take all the trash in Mansgrove Farms and put it in your front yard. No. I'm just teasing you.
Put it in his front yard.
No, ma'am, I'm sorry. I was trying to be funny, but sometimes I miss it, you know. All right. No, that's a real good question, and we're trying to fill all the positions that we have, that each ward. And I don't know how, I think, do we have one left, and that's it? We have one left, and then once that is filled, they will be meeting.
So which ward would that be left? Ward
Yes.
4?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh,
I wasn't
okay.
gonna I'm not putting anybody on the spot. It's
All
over
right.
there somewhere.
Contact information where need to.
All right, thank you, because
Sure.
okay, thank
But
you.
I do want to say one
Because
other.
we get questions about that.
Oh, yes, ma'am, we do too.
Committee
Oh, yeah.
relentlessly, and I just haven't heard anything.
Yeah, no, we're
happening
one
with that yet.
away, and then we'll be attacking. I do want to say one thing about
Thank
our
you.
Public Works Department. This past New Year's and a few days before, we had a lot of rain in Hendersonville. We had so much, and to thank the fire department as well, sending us out an email as they did in preparation and planning for this water flow. But I want to let people know, I know on New Year's Eve, I was out all day with it, and I know we had some roads that were closed, one on Indian Lake and then the other Stop 30. But I just want to say thank you to the Public Works. I want to thank you to the fire department. They did excellent work. Chief, you did a great job on the email we got on planning for the weather. It's teamwork that we do in this town, especially when it comes to drainage. And so there were a lot of worried people, but they weren't, believe it or not. I went on 15 calls, and not one person was really mad and irritated at the city because they realized that the water was coming so fast that it really wouldn't have made any difference in some of these folks' problems. But we still tried to help them as best as we could, and neighbors were helping neighbors. And that's what this city's all about. And it just made me feel good. You know, I was sad that I saw some of the stuff that I saw, but I was really appreciative of the neighborhoods and the neighbors that helped each other, because that's what it's all about in this city as far as I'm concerned. We all got to help each other. And I don't know if Mayor Foster is still here, but I do want to say one thing. I don't know if I see him. Oh, there. I just want to say thank you, because we're almost ready for the synchronization of the red lights. And I know that happened under your administration, and we worked very closely. You and I did, or the committee. And I just want to say thank you for your work and your help. And your far-reaching thought for that to happen for our city. And once it happens, I want people to know that you were very, very helpful in that happening. So I want to thank you for that. Thank you. That's it, Mayor. Thank
Alderman
you.
Petrelli, do you have a question for Chairman Skidmore?
Yes, I have two questions related to Public Works.
All right. Yes, ma'am.
With the recycling committee, can we just go ahead and move forward? I mean, we have ongoing committees all the time that are absent a ward representative. Can we just move forward with that committee and get it going?
Sure.
And then when Ward 4, when y'all have your person, we'll get them on the committee. And then
We can do that.
I know this question was already asked, and I know that the mayor already asked it, but I'm a person, I function with great detail, understanding stuff, and so the Public Works Director is leaving on Friday, and you're meeting tomorrow to come up with a plan of succession for operations for the city. Is that correct, Mayor?
I'm sorry, do you have a question for Alderman Skidmore? It's not question and answer time for the mayor. I think I answered that when Alderman Skidmore asked it.
Okay, I'll ask.
That's me.
I'll ask
Just
you,
ask me
okay.
out there. Yes, he's
So,
meeting tomorrow.
Who's he meeting with?
I would imagine city staff would be, he's not meeting with us, but he'd be meeting with city staff to go over what the city is what his, I guess, I'm assuming, I'm kind of speaking out of turn here, but I guess in a way I'm defending the mayor in a way. I would assume that he's asking, he's getting everything coordinated within the city to see where Public Works, what they're gonna do.
Okay, so
and
you're
that.
assuming, so what that means is you don't know?
Right, I don't know.
Okay. So when did the Public Works Director resign? A month ago?
I wouldn't,
3 weeks ago?
I don't know.
We're,
You'd have to ask the
we're
mayor
3
that, I
days
don't know.
before a transition period of a major department.
Yeah.
So I've heard that Public Works was going to be split in half to engineers and road work. I've heard that
Yeah.
maybe it will, maybe it won't. Has the
Well-
Public Works Committee had any discussions on what is being planned to be done? We are, again, we're 3 days before a major department is fixing to have no leadership.
Well, my response to that is I appreciate what you're saying and I agree with you, but it's the mayor's purview. That's why I asked him today if he had not gotten it all together. When he does, he needs to let the committee members of the Public Works, he needs to meet with us and let us know what we, as a committee and as aldermen, should be doing and being prepared for that. So,
I'm happy to do that.
and he's agreed, that's right, thank you, Mayor, he's agreed to do that. So that's much, to be honest with you, that's all we can do as a committee and as aldermen until he lets us know. Now, if the mayor, I will say this, because y'all know me in the city of Hendersonville, those people out there know me too. If he waited about 2 or 3 weeks, I'm gonna be raising some hell about it. Because that's not the way, you don't do aldermen that way, and you certainly don't do a committee that way. But I don't think the mayor's gonna do that. I think he's gonna get with the staff, get the policy worked out on how they're gonna do, and then he'll notify us, and then we'll go into his office or committee room, and he'll say, okay, this is what I've done. This is how I've set it up. And if we have any disagreements with him, I'm sure we'll hash it out right then. I mean, that would be a normal course of action as far as the Board of Aldermen and the mayor's office.
Just for the record, I'm very concerned that there's no succession plan in place, and we're at the 9th hour.
Yeah.
In order to make sure, because I don't receive a lot of communication from regarding what is going on, especially in regards to major changes in departments. So could I ask that we have an update by the end of the day tomorrow or Thursday morning?
You can absolutely ask, and I appreciate that question.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah,
no, okay, so no, I'm not asking the question to ask the question. I'm asking the question so that I can get an answer to understand what the succession plan is going to be for Public Works so that our city does not come to a grinding halt.
Alderman Skidmore, you want to take that one, since this is the Public Works Committee?
Yes,
report?
yes, sir, I'll take it then. I
So
will
what
tell
I'm,
you
what
that-
I'm
I
asking
know
your
what you're
committee
asking.
is to have an answer. I mean, all this gibberish of talking back and forth with a bunch of nonsense is getting ridiculous. I just want an
Okay.
answer to know what the plan is going to be
Okay.
for Public Works by end of the day tomorrow or Thursday. Is that a possibility?
Sure it is, but I will say this in response to my distinguished colleague in Ward 1. I certainly hope that you're not saying that I'm going to be talking gibberish by any means at all.
Oh, I'm not talking about you talking gibberish. Are you kidding me?
Sure.
Sure.
But anyway, yeah, we can try to get that after he finds out from what Public Works is going to do. That's why our committee were kind of wanted to know about it tonight, because Chip turned in his notice on the 12th, and his last day is Friday. So in essence, the mayor has 48 hours, and I guess that's why he's meeting with them tomorrow, to get a plan together. So as soon as he gets his plan together, he'll let us know, and then we'll let everybody else know.
I'm just trying to pin down a date so that we can actually get some viable information. And I'm
No, I understand.
I
do
realize
understand
that you're at the
Alderman,
mercy
we're going to
of-
move on. We're going to go to Capital Projects Committee. If y'all want to email me, and I can get back to you, and I've
I'm
heard
good.
what y'all have said.
Yeah.
And we'll move on to Capital Projects. Is that okay with you?
Sure,
Chairman
yes, sir,
Skidmore?
by all means, I'm
Okay.
fine. Yeah.
Okay. Chairman Campbell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. To point out, I'm just going to talk about red light synchronization. It is a project that's been in the works for over 6 years here in the city of Hendersonville, started under Mayor Foster. I've been a part of that program now, going on my 5th year. And Marshall, as I've been on this board here, talking about red light synchronization, the state of Tennessee is paying $1.2 million approximately for red light synchronization here in the city of Hendersonville. That's why we are at the mercy of the state as to how fast that project moves along. Every time we, like, look at boxes or software, they say, here's your group of vendors, pick one. Well, we have to review it. We select one, we give it back to the state, they bless it, and then they give us a little notice of permission to proceed. At that point, then we get to maybe talk about the software vendors. And Marshall, if I'm speaking wrong, please correct me. I'm trying to give people a real quick rundown on how this process works and why it's so drawn out. If the city wants to speed up that process, it's a 6-year project, $1.2 million. We could pay for it ourselves out of our own pocket. And it'd be about at 100%, $1.2 million. It's how much does it matter to you, the people? But we have to say, we're willing to spend $1.2 million for red light synchronization. We go out and buy the boxes, the software, and all the hardware involved, and we do the work ourselves. And we cut off probably 4 years of lag in the project getting done, start to finish. Right now, we're 6 years into it, and we're still hoping that we will be into it and done with it this year. No guarantees. The state could stop it at any time, and we're just waiting for that next notice to proceed, if I'm correct there, Marshall. So thank you very much, and that's Capital Projects Report this evening.
Thank you, Chairman Campbell. Alderman Woodcock, Planning Commission.
Thank you, Mayor. The Planning Commission met last night. We approved the Stone Ridge Phase 2 final plat. We approved the following site plans: Indian Lake Retail, Millstone Phase 4, Section 1, Townhome Lots 497 through 522, Tennessee Underground Office additions. We also approved the Circle Drive right-of-way closure and relocation, Resolution 2019-1, which is Durham Farms Phase 1, Section 1 street acceptance. We also elected officers. Chairman David Jenkins will remain chairman. Key McCormick will remain vice chairman. Lori Atchley is secretary. Charles Lee is assistant secretary. Thank you.
Appreciate that, Alderman Woodcock. ADA report, Alderman Petrelli.
So there was an informational meeting on Friday, January 4th here at City Hall. Representing the city, we had Peter Voss, our Human Resource Director, and we also had Sarah Locke from Public Works, who is one of our city engineers. And the city has selected a consultant. The contract has been drawn up and is awaiting the mayor's signature this week. Once that contract is signed and accepted by the vendor, there will be 9 months from that date of receipt for Phase 1 of the ADA transition plan to be completed. What that will include is the review and recommended revisions of, 50 miles of sidewalk and all corresponding curb ramps and cuts and 22 signalized intersections. Also included in this first phase from this consultant is an overview and review for the revisions of the ADA coordinator job description. So once the consultant reviews that and approves that, we will move forward with the advertising and hiring of that position. They will also review the grievance policy and procedure, the ADA liaison committee, the board, which is what we meant because this was basically an information gathering. And then what we need to do, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Bradley, is we need to move forward with kind of like the refurbishing of this committee, the renaming of the committee, and then the appointment of members on this board. It's not a committee. My understanding is that the mayor has submitted 2 folks, and we have 3 other positions, and I know we've had several people show interest, so we will hopefully have that in the form of a resolution at the next meeting. Okay, thank you.
Alderman Hayes and Alderman Woodcock, you want to talk about Ward 5 meeting? You feel like you covered it, or?
I think, just wanted to remind everybody, it'll be February 7th at 6 o'clock in the evening, right here.
Appreciate that.
Thank you. We will have some refreshments.
Thank you. Next, we have first reading of ordinance 2018-46. This is an ordinance amending the Hendersonville Municipal Code, Title 12, Chapter 1 through 8, the Building and Municipal Codes. Alderman Strauss.
Second.
Motion is second. Alderman Strauss.
Call for an amendment. You'll find at your desk, at the request of our codes director, 2 amendments. Do I need to read the amendments, or should I just give the headings? Read them?
Everybody's got a copy, you
Amendment,
can just read it.
everyone, yeah. Sorry?
Everybody has a copy.
Okay, so Amendment 1, you see amends Section 12-202, Section M1806, and Amendment number 2, which I'm offering these together, amends Section 12-601. I'll offer both of those amendments to this ordinance.
We have a motion for an amendment. I need a second.
Second.
A motion and a second. Alderman Robertson.
Yes, I'm going to be very brief. Alderman Sprouse, it would be helpful in the future if, when we did a major rewrite of certain municipal code ordinances, that they be redlined so that I can see what's being deleted and what's being added. It was a little hard to follow. I have specifically one question, and it deals with Chapter 7, Section 7, parentheses 7. And this deals with, and my concern here is whether the provision is retroactive or prospective in its enforcement. This deals with swimming pools and the backwash water and draining water. I ask this because it may have been, if it's retroactive, it could cause some HOA, some extra expense. So I want to make sure that I understand what this amendment is doing, whether it's retroactive or prospective.
Alderman Strauss.
I appreciate the question. I appreciate the response about redlining. That was the nature of my conversation with the codes director, and usually when things like this come up, what are the changes? That's a very good first question. Appreciate you asking that. And I wouldn't mind if we asked the codes director not just to answer the question about the retroactively, but it could give some insight about what was driving the overall request.
Brian, can you answer those for us, please?
Good evening. I'm your codes director, Brian Washko. Very happy to be here. To answer your question first, it's not retroactive.
Okay.
All these codes are always in the future or after adoption.
Okay.
Nothing in the code is retroactive. Just to give you a brief of what's happening is that every 3 years, the International Code Conference adopts a new code cycle. And currently, our city, we're on the 2012 IBC, IRC, the whole litany of codes. And the latest adoption is the 2018 codes. We need to adopt that because we need to stay current with industry, with practices. And this adopts the whole code family, the plumbing code, the mechanical code, residential code, swimming pool code, property maintenance code, that whole litany of codes. And what these amendments do is basically, these amendments are clarification of code requirements where the code is kind of vague, or these are code sections amended something administratively to where it becomes more clear. So we're not really changing or adding codes, we're just clarifying codes, or we would change or modify something based upon climate, geographical, or topographical conditions of the city.
Alderman Robertson, anything else?
No, thank you.
Alderman Strauss, anything else, questions?
I just want to say with Brian is new. Many of y'all remember Steve Mills. Steve was with the city so long, I think he actually did the final inspection on Rockcastle. But Brian, first, I know you have a very difficult responsibility when you come into someone who has literally spent, I guess, more than 40 years with the city of Hendersonville in that role. I appreciate that. I appreciate the time we spent going over this and getting to know you. I encourage any of the members of the board, if they have questions about this, use this as an opportunity to meet our new codes director like I did and to learn about his background and his expertise. Thank you.
Alderman Cunningham.
Thank you, Mayor. I have a quick question. Thank you for coming tonight. I know in the past, and we had a workshop where we discussed the sprinkler system to be a requirement for all new residential construction. And I realize that that's not included in the new codes. Is there any more discussion on that to make that a requirement for new residential construction at this time?
That was a hot subject.
Very hot for me.
But
extremely hot.
But no, we after discussion with a few of the code groups there, and the state of Tennessee requires 2/3 of a vote So we basically deleted that requirement out of the code. So the fire sprinklers are not required in the adoption. We deleted that. So there would be no fire sprinklers required in residential homes or townhomes.
Okay, thank you, thank you.
We got off a little bit. We should have stayed on the amendment, but it worked out okay. You're fine, you're fine. So all those in favor of accepting the amendment, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. That passes unanimously. Now we're on the main motion. All those in favor of first reading of ordinance 2018-46, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. That passes unanimously. Next, we have first reading of ordinance 2018-47. Brian, stay nearby. This is an ordinance amending the Hendersonville Municipal Code, Title 13, Chapter 1, Property Maintenance Code. Alderman Strauss.
So moved.
A motion?
Second.
And a second? All those in favor of first reading of ordinance 2018-47, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. That passes unanimously. Next, we have first reading of ordinance 2018-50. This is an ordinance rezoning the property located on the west side of Saundersville Road, north of Spyglass Way in Hendersonville. Alderman Woodcock. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of first reading of ordinance 2018-50, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. That passes unanimously. Next, we have first reading of ordinance 2018-51. This is an ordinance rezoning the property located on the east side of Tennessee Way, south of Volunteer Drive, also known as 105 Tennessee Way in Hendersonville. Alderman Woodcock. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of first reading of ordinance 2018-51, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. That passes unanimously. Next, we have first reading of ordinance 2018-52. This is an ordinance amending the budget ordinance 2018-22 by appropriating $54,000 for the Saundersville Road North Infrastructure IMP project. Alderman Skidmore.
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. Second, Alderman Woodcock.
Yes.
All those in favor of first reading of ordinance 2018-52, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. That passes unanimously. Next, we have first reading of ordinance 2018-53. This is an ordinance amending our budget ordinance, which is 2018-22, by appropriating $54,000 for Chute Lane Phase 9 Improvement Project. Alderman Skidmore.
Yes, so moved.
We have a motion
Second.
and a second. All those in favor of first reading of ordinance 2018-53, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. Next, we have reading of item G and item M. Both of those are sponsored by Alderman Skidmore. This is a resolution 2018-56 to declare equipment owned by the city to be surplus property and directing disposal of that. We also have a resolution 2018-68, a resolution to declare different surplus property owned by the city and to dispose of it. Alderman Skidmore.
Move to approve.
We have a motion to approve items G and M and a second. All those in favor of approving Resolution 2018-56 and Resolution 2018-68, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. Those pass unanimously. Next, we have reading of Resolution 2018-57. This is a resolution to apply for a grant with the National Fitness Campaign to build an outdoor gym in Veterans Park. Alderman Skidmore.
Yes, move to approve. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Alderman Robertson.
I have one question for Director Gilly. I just want to make sure that I understand exactly the liability that the city will be if all of the matching funds come through. I understand what the city's liability, with the exception of the construction part of that Public Works will do. And I asked Director Gilly earlier, and I think he can, I just want to make sure to maintain my fiduciary responsibility that I understand exactly as close as possible what a cost of a project is going to be, so to prevent cost overruns. So
the city's liability for the grant would be $45,000 plus installation. Installation includes the addition of a 38 by 38 foot concrete pad for us to put the equipment on, and about $500 worth of signage. Our cost will be in the concrete, which current prices would be less than $3,000.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
I have no further questions.
Appreciate that, Alderman Robertson. Please appreciate that, Andy. All those in favor of Resolution 2018-64, please 2018-57, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. That passes unanimously. Next, we have Resolution 2018-64. This is a resolution to adopt a plan of services for the proposed annexation of 15.97 acres as included in the approved Forest Park preliminary development plan located on the west side of Saundersville Road, north of Spyglass Way. Alderman Woodcock. Motion is second. All those in favor of Resolution 2018-64, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. That passes unanimously. Next, we have Resolution 2018-65. This is a resolution to annex into the city of Hendersonville the property located on the west side of Saundersville Road, north of Spyglass Way in Sumner County, as included in the approved Forest Park preliminary development plan. Alderman Woodcock. Motion and a second. All those in favor of Resolution 2018-65, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. Next, passes unanimously. Next, we have Resolution 2018-66. This is a resolution to approve a final development plan for Festival Center for the racetrack project. This is located on the west side of Rockland Road, south of West Main Street. Alderman Woodcock. Motion. Second. And a second. Alderman Petrelli.
Are we going to have a traffic study done on that? I asked for that, I think, 6 weeks ago.
Alderman Woodcock.
That'd be a city staff question.
Keith. Marshall. Marshall, you still get to speak since we suspended rules once. We'll make it a blanket for the whole meeting.
Absolutely. We did not request a traffic study. We felt like all the improvements were there, and they've agreed to all the staff comments to make the improvements that we've requested.
Right. The improvements are great, but I think a traffic study would be warranted in that area because I'm going to restate the same reasons I did 2 or 3 months ago. We had when we have traffic coming off at exit 3 to make that right onto Rockland Road. It backs up currently during rush hour. So as folks are going to make that right-hand turn, the point is, my concern is that I'm worried that people are going to get into vehicular accidents there, especially during rush hour.
Right. Sarah and I did speak with our on-call consultant concerning the access points that they had requested, and considering they're working with the adjacent property owner to improve that entrance, and actually, if you look at it, we're reducing the number of entry and exit points on Main Street. Overall, it's a better situation than it is now. But to your point, though, we didn't do a formal traffic study.
Okay, because my understanding the last time we discussed this was that we were going to have one. So what's the resolution on that? And I understand about the elimination of some of the curb cuts.
Right.
But nobody really pulls into the current business that sells vehicles there. Most of his business is internet-based and does a lot of it over the phone. And then the other business is the boat business, and there's not a lot of activity going in and out of there as well. And actually, they kind of share that area for parking. But when you have a gas station, you're going to have a pretty high traffic flow turning into the gas station.
Hold on one second. Marshall, we appreciate that. Any other questions? And I'll come back to you. Okay, thank you, Marshall. Go ahead.
So my concern is that there's potentially going to be life safety issues with people turning in and braking and possibly stopping the car, waiting for somebody in the gas station to park, pull up to a pump, they're reversing, and then with vehicular traffic coming off of exit 3. That's my concern.
Alderman Petrelli, thank you. Alderman Skidmore.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Alderman Petrelli is correct, but I will say this, that the racetrack folks have not decided, but they have volunteered since the last time we spoke months ago to Public Works and to the city that they were going to help with our traffic there. But I will say this, if there is a determination that the traffic is going to be going to be a hindrance like what you're saying? Because I agree with you. I think there's a real big issue, and that was one of the things that I was raising the last time, raising some cane about the last time, was the possible traffic. We'll put that in the budget for next year because you all aren't going to start breaking ground for a while, I wouldn't think. So we can put that into the budget under traffic. I can't remember. It's on-call traffic. But I don't know what the line item it is called, and forgive me because I don't know it. I just don't know it right offhand. But we can put it in this next year's budget because I think it's what, $3,500 for a
3.
Yeah, 3. Okay, 3.
Hold on, Alderman Skidmore, hold on one second.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Are we able to hear Alderman Skidmore? Okay.
All right. Thank you, everybody. It's 3 to 35, and we'll put that. We'll make sure because it's our ward. We won't forget about it. And if I do forget about it, Peg will, our Alderman Petrelli will let me know, and city staff will let me know. We'll put it in the budget to see about a traffic problem there.
Thank you. What is the start date?
When is the start date on that, do you?
Yeah, come on up.
Move to suspend rules.
We need to, motion to suspend the rules, to listen to the developer for the property. Without objection, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Sure. Good evening, Mayor and Alderman. Drew Cunningham with Racetrack, 200 Galleria Parkway, Atlanta, Georgia, 30339. We're looking at start construction, start of second quarter. So sometime hopefully late April is probably realistic. So I'm hoping to submit building plans to the city. We're really close on having site design permits, and then hopefully submitting building plans here in the next week or so. Our architects are putting them together right now to match the elevations that were approved at Planning Commission. So hopefully late April, we're breaking ground.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Appreciate that.
Obviously, my only concern is that there could be some type of a traffic, life safety issue there. Thank you.
Alderman Skidmore, anything else?
No, sir. Thank you, Mayor.
All those in favor of Resolution 2018-66, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. That passes unanimously. Next, we have Resolution 2018-67. This is a resolution to allow the group known as Sumner County Rugby permission to improve the land donated by the Durham Farm Development to the city of Hendersonville. Alderman Skidmore.
Move to approve.
Second. Motion is second. All those in favor of Resolution 2018-67, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. That passed unanimously. Next, I'm going to ask our Vice Mayor to sit in for me.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. Reading Resolution 2018-69, a resolution authorizing the Codes Director to replace a Codes Inspector position with an additional permit technician position.
So moved.
Mayor Claire, do I hear a second? Any discussion? All in favor of Resolution 2018-69, say aye. Aye. All opposed? That passed unanimously. Resolution 2018-72, a resolution authorizing the transfer of $12,000 from the Codes Department salary line item to the Codes Department travel and training line item. Okay, second. Any discussion? All in favor of resolution? Oh, sorry.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. You're doing a great job, by the way. And I just want to know, are y'all planning, whoever, is the Codes planning, are y'all planning on going on a trip, or is this just for magazines, or what?
Codes Director.
Well, that would be nice, but no.
Let's get the microphone on. Hold up. Let's get your mic on.
There you go.
No, not yet. Now.
Groovy? Okay. What money is for is that we are trying to learn and get training on our InterGov computer system. And this is a salary savings that's going to be moved over from the permit technician position to the training. So we can have about 360 hours of InterGov training so we can get our system in harmony.
Now, are they coming, is this .gov, whatever you just said, are they coming here, or are you going there?
I'm going there.
And where is that?
I'm going to Georgia, for one training for the land management module training, and then I'm going to another training in California for the administrative training module of it.
Okay.
So they have different trainings, different times of the year, and you have to jump on that boat if you want to get that training for that year, and this is the only training they're going to have for this current year.
You answered my question. That was my next question was, it seems like that's, the one in California is a little farther away than the one in Atlanta, but if that's the only ones they're doing, then that's a good idea for you to do that, so.
Correct.
Thank you very much for answering those questions. No further questions. Vice
Okay.
Mayor.
Alderman Brown?
Thank you, Ms. Vice Mayor. I do have a question. The $12,000, I know, Brian, this may not be this may be before you. I remember exactly when you came, but this was not in the budget. This is training you decided to do, or training we should have did. I'm just trying to figure out why it wasn't in the budget to begin with, and why we've decided to do that now.
It's training that we have discovered that we needed since I've been
Okay.
And it's a matter of trying to get our system organized so we can provide better customer service, and so that contractors can look at the permits online and can have more activity. The system has the wherewithal to do it. It's just that we need the training to be able to negotiate it.
Okay. Thank you.
Alderman Woodcock?
I was in the queue for the previous ordinance. So.
Thank you. That's right. Any other discussion? Okay, all in favor of Resolution 2018-72, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay. Let that, record one no vote on that. Okay, other agenda items, vote on the reappointment of Jimmy Head to serve on the Board of Parks and Recreation. Alderman Petrelli and Skidmore. Do I hear a move? Okay. Okay. Any discussion? All in favor for the reappointment of Jimmy Head to serve on the Board of Parks and Recreation, say aye. Aye. All opposed? That passed unanimously. Vote on the reappointment of Robert Bubba Perry to serve on the Board of Parks and Recreation. Alderman Hayes and Woodcock. Second. Okay, any discussion? All in favor of the, sorry. Alderman Brown.
Thank you. I would just like to ask the nominating Alderman Hayes or Woodcock, either one, to give me the credentials for Mr. Bubba Perry, why he should be able to serve on Parks.
Alderman Hayes.
Bubba has been very interested and been active with our Parks Department, and he's a great fan of All-Star Wrestling.
I don't like wrestling. You got anything to add?
I think we all know Bubba, so.
With a name like Bubba, how can you? All those in favor of Robert Bubba Perry to serve on the Board of Parks and Recreation, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. Next, we have item C, the selection of Management Review Committee member. I would like to nominate Russ Edwards. I think we saw just recently tonight his expertise in understanding employment law, personnel situations, and operating an organization in business fashion. So I'm going to nominate Russ for that.
Second.
The motion is second. Appreciate that. Actually, don't need a second for that. Alderman Strauss.
Thank you. I think it's unfortunate that the mayor is making a nomination to a committee that's going to be reviewing his own actions, but in no disrespect to Mr. Edwards as a new mayor, he is very capable of attorney, and my dealings with him have been very successful. I would like to nominate Mrs. Petrelli, and the purpose for that is having more familiarization with operations of the city itself, the personnel who are involved, and that would give her a little bit more experience when it comes time to, well, as we've seen in previous situations, to have to judge the veracity of information that's being presented to us, the operations of the city itself, and both from a statutory way, but also from a practical way. So I nominate Mrs. Petrelli.
Second. Alderman Edwards.
I asked to withdraw my name.
Okay.
I think Alderman Petrelli would do a good job.
Okay. Appreciate that. Any other nominations?
Mayor, I would like to move that Ms. Petrelli be elected by acclamation.
All those in favor, we need a second for that.
Second.
All those in favor of appointing Alderman Petrelli by acclamation, please signify by saying aye. Those opposed, please say no. Next on our agenda, so that passes unanimously. Next on our agenda.
Move to adjourn.
We have a motion to adjourn. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. We are adjourned.
I dropped your sign. Oh, yeah.